Quick Hits.
It's time for Hobby Quick Hits. A sports card podcast where we tackle the hobby's hottest topics in depth to help you navigate the sports card landscape and enjoy the hobby we all love. Here's your host, John Newman.
All right, welcome to another edition of Hobby Quick Hits. Today's show is what I would do if I owned a card company. And what inspired this show was actually two things. One of the listeners of our podcast private messaged me and basically asked that, what would you do, John, if you owned the card company? And I started to type out a response, and I realized as I got a little bit into it, this response is going to be long. And I said, you know what? What a great topic for a podcast. So I responded back to that question to the person and said, hey, I'm going to do a show, a future Hobby Quick Hits. I'll remind you when I release it. And so that's where the show sort of is born about. But also, we just got through a presidential election, right? And, when the candidates go up there, especially when one's running against an incumbent, they get up there and say how terrible job that person's doing. And a lot of times they'll say they're going to fix it, but they don't say how they're going to fix it, right? And that sort of inspired me to do this show. As podcasters or content creators and just anyone, if you've heard my stance on content creation, if you just post on Twitter, you've created content. You don't have to have a podcast. So when people are complaining about customer service from a Topps, Panini, or another card company, or they're praising them, either way, they're creating content. And so, there's plenty of posts out there, critical of the card companies, and we're quick. I'm guilty of this too, folks. We're quick sometimes sort of to criticize or pick holes in what a company's doing, but very few of us offer solutions. And so that's what I'm going to try to do, in some sort of way on this podcast today. So it's not necessarily me taking over Topps or me taking over Panini, but it's me taking over or, a company or building a new one, with the parameters that we have a license and all that stuff. And so I'm going to obviously start with probably two of the biggest things, my biggest complaints, customer service and quality control, right? And, one of my things, if I'm leading a card company, I want to focus on these two areas, starting with QC, right? How many times we see, people post a pack and all the corners are dinged up, or print lines, or, if they're Chrome cards, they're coming out all scratched. And I know things are going to happen. It's human nature. You can't prevent all of this. But we've seen recently a little bit too much of that. And so if I own a card company or I'm at the helm, I want to know when that happens, how it happens, why it happens, and how do we make sure that it doesn't happen again or it happens very infrequently. And then it's twofold, that's when the customer service comes in. If we make a mistake, we got to own it, right? We have to replace those damaged cards. That's why we don't want to do that, so we don't have to have that hassle. And so, and quality control is just, someone inspecting that stuff, someone on the line, just kind of looking at how things are going, doing proper maintenance to machines. I know many of the cards, if not all of them, are printed at a separate facility, but they're packaged, within the companies. Again, I'm assuming. And even if they're not, even if it's outsourced, you need to if you're paying a third party to complete your product, right? They need to be held accountable for delivering said product and what you're paying for. And and that's my thing. If I'm a card company and I'm outsourcing that stuff, I'm looking at getting that equipment and manpower and keeping that in-house and having the utmost control of what leaves our building and what quality and what shape it leaves our building in. So QC, customer service, I know the pandemic left many companies short-staffed, even outside the hobby. But you know what? Customer service has been poor even before the pandemic hit. So we can't give them just a free pass, right? People don't answer the phone. You wait on hold for 45 minutes. They want you to hang up. Let's call a spade here. That hold game is done, so you go away, right? I've done it. I've made that call and hung on that line. Usually I just put on speakerphone and I go about doing my other business until I hear somebody pick up. We got that. That would be if I'm calling the shots. We got to clean that up. No one likes complaint calls. I get all that, but if we clean up the QC end, we'll have a lot less complaint calls to deal with. It's a domino effect. But the mistakes are going to happen. But we're going to be available. We're going to answer those calls. We're going to make things right. We're going to, investigate a situation. Not everyone that calls up with an issue might be telling the truth. So we need to kind of sort through that, see through it, and make sure we're just not, handing out stuff left and right. That's not going to help the situation whatsoever. So I probably could go on even more specific or further, but we'll kind of nip those two right there. Customer service and quality control. And I think they both kind of go hand in hand, because if you have better quality control, you'll have less customer service issues and tickets. Just par for the course. I am not a designer or card designer per se. I've been in the card industry a long time. Certain things do it for me design-wise, certain don't. But if I own a company or I'm running a company, I want to be hands-on with the card design. In other words, I'm not saying I'm doing the design work, but I want to sort of be, see those mock-ups, see those rough drafts and kind of, yay or nay, or add this or take this away, that sort of thing. I think when you've done the hobby for a certain amount of time, you sort of kind of got your finger on the pulse about what design may or may not work. A lot of these guys kind of doing the nixing or the approval of the design may not be collectors or may not be in the hobby very long. I think my longevity will help in this category. At least I'm bold enough to think so. I know what I like, and I think a lot of other people, if I like it, would probably like it too, if you're a hobbyist. And so I'd probably be a little more hands-on with the design. I'd probably go to my design team and even mention stuff I'd like to see. And piggybacking off that is, I have a thing for acetate cards, those clear cards. EX is one of my favorite sets of all time. And I would bring those back. I know we have seen those this year with Donruss Clear Cut. I know Topps has done the Archive Signature and some of their clear inserts in the Topps flagship. Upper Deck's done that with their Synergy and Clear Cut brands, and I want to see, a mainstream company do a full, complete set of acetate cards. And when I say full set, I'm talking the 792 type size for baseball. I want to see a complete acetate baseball product. I know the price probably goes up a little bit, but I think it'd be a big hit. And speaking about a big hit, this is Topps' MO, to be specific. When they get a big hit, what do? And they're not the only ones. I don't want to just pick on them. But then they beat the proverbial dead horse, right? Project 2020 was a great hit. and now we see, Ben Baller doing a chrome edition for the company. We see Blake Jameson doing a 51 blue and red back set in waves. We've seen the Stadium series, and I get they're going to be one-offs and spin-offs, but now we're seeing the top 70 where the artists are signing back on, and now they get to pick the cards, which I do like that premise of them getting to pick the cards, but they're giving us no break. They're just right into it soon as pretty much Topps 2020 ends. And this has been a big Topps thing, is they just beat something into the ground until they almost kill it, or they do kill it. And so one of my things is, hey, if we hit a nice product, hey, we made a 792 card base acetate set. It goes over well. It's selling out. Be careful what you do after that, right? Unless that's going to become one of the regulars every year. But you're doing all these spin-offs. It's just too much. It just comes across sort of as a money grab. At least some of the things do to me, and leaves a bad taste in folks' mouth. That I've heard people who are on board with a product, and then when they just keep overdoing it, those same folks are like, nope, I'm out. And so there's a thin line there to pleasing people, and then again beating that horse and making the same people who love the product disgusted with you because you just keep doing things off of that, and just things cost money. We don't not everyone has infinite amounts of money to just keep buying every product someone produces. And so I think people kind of like history, and like, hey, I don't want 5 versions of that product. You do a base, you want to do a chrome, but we don't need 2 more different type setups with that. So don't beat a dead horse is another thing I would try to do as someone at the helm. Fix retail and hobby, and that's a huge thing. There's some that will tell you it's not broke, John. They'll look me in my face and say it's not broke. What you see is the best way. You may not like it, other people may not like it, but that's the way it is. But no, I like to see some improvements there, and I don't even know if it would come from the card company level, but maybe limit how much someone can buy, put them behind the counter. I've seen that starting to happen. Again, limits on the products themselves, even if they're not behind the case. We limit them. Hey, you can only buy 1 rack pack. You can only buy 1 sealed box of blast, whatever. I know some are hearing that and be like, that's blasphemy. If I go in there and they're all there, I should reap the rewards. And I don't even disagree with you, but I think to be fair to everybody, we probably should be doing that on the retail level, is limiting what certain people, not certain people, but limiting what one person can come in and purchase it at one time. That's a retail level. And I think, I'm going to take a page out of what Topps is doing, but I'm actually going to expand about it. I'm going to offer a lot of products just as online exclusives, and not necessarily in a Montgomery Club setting, but hey, everybody, at 11 a.m. we're going to open it up. You get 1 box, and that's it. But it's going to be, direct to consumer, and so I would do a lot more direct to consumer products. If that's mainstream products, if that's flagship that you do that with, then so be it, right? Have some rules, have some technology. You're going to have to get with IT and figure out, how can we prevent people from scheming the system so that everyone gets a fair shot at this product and on the same wavelength. I don't want to just have presses keep running and have that junk wax 2.0 error. I understand the demand is feverish, but you can't just keep the presses going and think that doesn't potentially hurt the long-term viability of the product. I understand we all want it, and the companies want us all to get it, but there's a balance there. There's a fine line, I think, you don't cross where you just make way too much stuff. We've seen what happens when that occurs, right? We've been through that storm, if you want. It's been coined the junk wax era. It's not necessarily a fond term. Now, some of us who lived through it, we sort of look at it as fondly, and it brings back memories, and we reminisce. But in general, when it comes to the P&L side of the hobby, if you will, it's not something that historians look back upon, very fondly. So, fixed retail, fixed hobby. I like the direct-to-consumer model with a limit where anyone that wants one, or the majority of people who want one, can get one. Okay, I know people who want to buy 10 boxes and turn around and flip them and sell them and make a profit. I understand your frustrations that would come along with that territory, but listen, it's not. The hobby's not about one person. The hobby's about all of us combined, and I think we all want to have a fair crack at buying some wax boxes, wax packs. Whether that's for us to open or resell, that's our business. That's not what this show is going to be about. All right, another thing I talk about a lot is how the product, or how the hobby is moving away from the kids, or the affordability of it. Sure, we have Big League and Opening Day, and those products are pretty cool for what they are. But I want to see more products, and maybe something a little more upscale. Why can't we make a product that has more hits in it? Maybe it's not always Mike Trout, obviously. That's not an easy card to pull to begin with. Maybe it's not along those levels, but why can't, there be 6 game used cards in there? Why can't there be 2 or 3 autographs of players in there? Kids love, big kids love, adults love that adrenaline rush of opening wax. Think about it for a kid. I remember when I was a kid, that adrenaline rush to open the new packs that were just out. And that was before all the bells and whistles we have now on cards. There was no, low numbered cards, low print numbered card. You were just chasing players. I want, if it's 84, you wanted the Don Manley rookie. It's 85, you want Gooden and Clemens Puckett, right? Why can't we in today's day and age design a product at that kid's price level, if you will, and, put 4 to 6 relics and or autos in that. If it's 24 packs, 1 in every 4 packs are going to contain some sort of hit for that young person that's opening the product. Again, I'm sure there'll be some adults that go ahead and purchase it with the point of keeping it or building a set and put it in their set collection. I get that. I've done that. It is what it is. But we can do a better job with kids' products where they're still affordable and they're more of a viable and talked about mainstream product. And last on my list, something I believe Upper Deck does the best job on, and that's social media presence. And I'm not just talking about posting something, a new release, or what's coming in the future and then going away, but being interactive with your fans. Someone posts a big hit and they hashtag you, your company, like that post, retweet it. Someone, says, hey, I got a problem, I got an issue, respond to that as kindly as you can to try to get that resolved, even on social media. I think it's severely lacking in some of the companies, to the point of contention where people even mention it. Like, hey, you're posting all day, but you can't even respond to people who are, praising your work or your releases, and, not retweeting stuff. And so, if it's my company, I build a team. If we don't already have one, we hire a social media team whose job is to do a good job in that department, to look at what folks are saying, good and bad, and if it's good, retweet it. If it's a bad, reach out to that person, figure out what, why, and, when of what happened and what we can do as a card, company to rectify that. One thing I wanted to add, too, that I didn't mention earlier when we first started talking about this is, the Montgomery 582 Club, Panini's doing their own, I believe, their own version. They'd have their, Topps has their Future Stars Club. Panini has a Crate Club. I like those things. Those are things I would do if I was with a new card company or an existing one. Keep those. Those clubs, I know someone will say, well, the Montgomery Club, I can't get in it. It's too exclusive. I get it, but they also do great things as well. Maybe I'm a little biased because I'm in it, and I get that. But I would keep those sort of things. I love the Kids Club, the Future Stars Club that Topps does, this Crate Club that Panini's about to release, geared towards kids. Now, listen, I've seen a lot of adults post that they get that stuff, but you know what? What are adults, right? We're just big kids. So I get it. It's not a big deal, but I would keep things like that. Maybe even expand on them or make them even better, potentially with some different ideas. We're going to step away real quick to hear a word from Anchor, but when we come back, I'll give you some closing thoughts. All right, hope you enjoyed the episode, what I would do differently or even the same if I own or ran one of the card companies or a new card company. What say you? Maybe I left something out. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you disagreed with something I said. Love to hear your feedback. You can reach out to us on any of our social medias. You can even text us at 315-491-0239. We enjoy getting that feedback and how we can make that better. What do you think? Well, do you have a brand new idea that you don't mind letting out of the bag? Let me know. I'll post it out there for everybody to see after this on the show stretch. So again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
Hey folks, thanks for listening to the show. Wanted to give out our social media links where you can follow the show even when you're not listening to it. On Twitter, we are at Hits Hobby, HITSHOBBY. On Instagram, we are at Hobby Quick Hits Podcast, at Hobby Quick Hits Podcast, all one word. Our website is www.sportscardnation.net. Look for the link to Hobby Quick Hits. You'll find us there. And you can always text us on our text line, area code 315-491-0239.